reality,
Absolutely.
what we're doing right now. Not what I'm thinking about in an hour's time or 2 hours time. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like the worst things that happen to us are usually just our fears. Life's
Yes.
usually a lot less stressful than our fears think it's going to be.
Oh man.
Yeah. And I like that you're talking about like thinking about all those negative things and stuff, because like there's a difference between like ruminating about all these different things and
Yes.
using potential negative thoughts constructively. And
This a success off another breath. This the first step in searching to be nothing less than be the best in what you do to prove their strength in being you. Learn so much in chasing dreams that I never would in school.
Your name again, sorry?
Shane.
Shane. Yeah. So Kieran. Yeah, that's okay, brother. That's okay. Yeah. Thank you for coming down.
Well,
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. And where are you from, by the way?
Originally I'm from the U.S.
US.
from
Oh,
Utah,
okay.
So
Oh, wow. Beautiful.
yeah. Now I live in Okra, so just north of Long Bay.
Yeah. Yeah. And how are you finding it in New Zealand? How long have you been in New Zealand?
About 6.5 years this time, and 2 years another time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So first time was mostly in Christchurch.
Yeah.
Then went back to the States to be close with family, and then had wanted to come out here for some time, and
Beautiful.
we had the chance in 2014 and been here ever since. So
Wow.
it's a
Oh, that's
beautiful country.
Oh man, thank you. Yeah, I've spent some time in the States, but mainly in California and a little bit on the East Coast. So I did a little bit of Florida and the Keys, which was beautiful.
Nice.
Yeah, but I lived for 3 months in San Diego.
All
yeah,
right.
yeah, absolutely loved it there. Yeah, it's definitely. I feel like that was a home away from home, San
Yeah.
Diego. Yeah.
San Diego was beautiful.
Mm.
So I only spent a little time there, but it was nice.
Yeah.
Florida, I only know the airport, just passing
Okay.
through. So.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful. Yeah. So what drew you to New Zealand originally? What was
Oh, it was quite some time ago. When we were still married, we'd both been kind of interested in New Zealand and Australia for some time. and
Right.
even before Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so you actually knew it existed.
Yes,
before
we actually knew it
Yeah.
existed long before
Yeah.
it became popular and
Yeah.
with Middle Earth. But
Yeah.
and had the chance to move down here, and it was 2006. So 2006 to 2008, lived in New Zealand and enjoyed it here. And
Beautiful.
We had our son was about 5 years old at the time.
Oh,
like
amazing.
7, and
Yeah.
then the next time we moved down it was funny because we had a daughter in the meantime while we were back in the
Oh,
States,
wow.
and she was almost 5 when we moved here, and so
Yes.
it was a similar experience for her. But now we've just stayed, and she doesn't know any different. She hardly remembers the States.
Right.
She just knows New Zealand mostly,
Yeah.
and little
Yeah. So
memories of it.
any accent at all?
She has kept most of her American accent. It's really weird.
That
I
is so
think.
fascinating.
If it's like a New Zealand name,
Yeah.
like a place or something, then she'll do more of a Kiwi accent
Okay.
with it.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure, but I'm betting at times she probably switches a little bit with her friends. But yeah, like a lot of people are just like, oh, I love her accent and stuff. And
Oh, yeah.
To me, it's just normal. But
Yeah, for sure.
And sometimes there's certain words where she'll kind of mix up in the sentence a little bit of Kiwi accent, a little bit of American accent. And me, I'll probably never lose my American accent. I'm old enough that
It's
it's
just so
stuck in
deeply
there.
ingrained, eh?
Yes.
Yeah. It was interesting. When I went overseas, I lived in a few different countries. And I held on to my New Zealand accent, yes, but I lost actually quite a bit of it, eh? So when I came back, people were asking me, where are you from? I'm like, I'm from here. What do you mean? But yeah, definitely, it did diminish slightly, but I can definitely see that it would never completely disappear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had people tell me mine has softened
Yep.
over time.
Yeah.
So,
When's the last time you went back? The States?
2016.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, it is. So I'm looking at possibilities of going back to visit now, because there's
Yes.
been, like, between my mom and my dad and my stepmom, their health's not great, and so it's like, okay, I should go back for a visit and just see them and put up with the 2 weeks quarantine when I come back here and
Yeah.
but do it. So
Oh, that's fantastic, brother. Yeah,
Yeah.
beautiful. Yeah. So, thanks for coming on down, as I mentioned earlier, man. And I'd love to actually ask what inspired you to join in. What was the sort of?
because it seems like what you talk about is like managing mood and
Yeah.
emotions, different things, and it's something that I'm getting into right now. At the moment, I'm doing holistic health with like massage therapy, Reiki, craniosacral therapy, and a few different things
Yeah.
under Luminary Wellness. But I'm transitioning into creating some online workshops around personal development.
Oh,
And,
wow.
like, the first one
Amazing.
the first
yes.
one I'm making is 9 tools for managing stress and difficult emotions. And
Wow.
it's like, okay, it'd be cool to talk with him and just see what he has to say and this and that. And
Fantastic. And what have been some of the big takeaways and lessons that you've gained so far that have really surprised you in a way, I suppose, is probably a good one.
I think one of the main things is that it's not so much about the big things, it's about the little things.
Yeah.
Just little tiny things, whether it's just like, okay, pausing and just breathe for a moment. And, if it's
Totally.
mindfulness, just taking 60 seconds just to be really aware of what you see or what you hear and things like that. And that was important enough that I kind of incorporated it into like my first tattoo a few years ago. And
Yeah.
there's just so many little things that we can do, making sure we move our bodies, whether
Yeah.
that's the gym or yoga or just going for a walk
Yeah.
or stretches. If we're
Mm.
not moving our bodies, we're not managing the stress and the emotions. It's just gonna get stuck.
Yes,
And
there's actually a big thing about that, isn't there? The
Yeah.
fact that it can, that our nervous system does actually have some form of release that occurs through that movement and through that shake. I mean, like, of course, it's very animalistic, isn't it?
Yeah.
You see, like, you see antelope do it a lot when they, when say they've just been hunted down. Hello, hello. Hey, I'm gonna come give you a hug. I'm jumping out of this. For a second. Sorry, brother.
That's all right.
So, and that's also this fantastic human over here is one of the humans that I work with.
Nice.
Yeah. She's just come in from Australia.
Australia. That's a
Yeah.
big hop over the pond.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah. And it's really fascinating around with the antelope. If you see a whole herd of antelope, and like basically they get chased down by like a lion or by some sort of predator, and say one of their peers die. Quite literally, within 60 seconds, you'll see the rest of the herd shake it off and then return back to what they were doing. It's like they're not as traumatized the way that we are. They're not accumulating this strong, intense memory the same way that we would if there was a death around us, or even if we just went through a breakup, let alone death itself.
So that's their switch from the sympathetic to the parasympathetic?
Correct. Yeah. So so there's an interesting. They can't actually maintain a very long. They can't really maintain a very long period of time in the sympathetic system.
Yeah.
Because the way that we're designed to go through prolonged periods of stress, whereas animals such as antelope aren't. So they're actually designed to go more into the parasympathetic, because what the parasympathetic does is it helps them to broaden their vision. And of course, they're not predators, right? So they need to constantly be aware of their surroundings.
Absolutely.
Whereas we've been more in the predatorial state for a lot of the time, hunting. So our eyes have been, focused more forward, and in doing so, we don't actually need this huge widespread vision the same way as like the antelope do, because they're out in open fields. They need to be aware and in a parasympathetic state. They're able to be more observant of what's going on around them. So if they're in the sympathetic state, they're more in the narrow vision. You see, yeah. So I think, based on what I've heard anyway, I might be speculating a little bit here, but yeah, they aren't able to maintain that sympathetic state because of a few reasons, such as the fact that they need to keep the vision more broad for survival purposes. But yeah, one of the shifts is the shaking, the movement. Yeah, is to help them to shift. Which is really fascinating, and it's definitely something that us humans don't do enough of, right? Which is a movement factor. So yeah, I love that. That was a big factor you noticed.
It's one of the main things that's helped me. Like, I went through stages of where I had high enough levels of anxiety and depression that I was like referred by a doctor for counseling stuff, and movement, like especially like just free form dance, just finding some music I like and just shaking my body however I feel like, has been one of the best therapies for me.
Wow.
In doing that. But I know a lot of people just find different ways to do it.
Yeah.
However it is, moving the body is just so beneficial.
Yes. Yeah, so true. And you mentioned as well, like the pausing factor. That's been big for me. The tuning into the senses, the sensory organs, and actually noticing what it is I see, I taste, I touch, smell, hear, and really tuning into those moments frequently throughout the day has allowed me to break up this association I had with mind. It's like the strong belief that I had with a thought in the past was to the point of my reality. Like, every single thought I had, in terms of maybe this person doesn't like me, that thought would be instantly real to me. It would, that assumption would actually be reality. Or the assumption that I'm not good enough would be a reality for me, right? Or the assumption that my partner's going to break up with me would be a reality for me. Like, these assumptions that I'd made, these thoughts that I'd had going through my head were so strong and potent to me that they became a reality, to the point where I actually manifested it, because I would act from a state of fear and clinginess and control in those environments, because I was so fearful and afraid of it actually going through with that. And then, of course, the more you try to grapple onto something, the more it tries to get away. So yeah, that was the kind of life that I lived for a long time, and that pausing, that simplicity of just taking moments of breath and moments of pausing and tuning into the sensory organs more often throughout the day, that allowed me to break up that identification I had with my mind and my thoughts, and really helped to create that space and really come to a deep understanding as to what reality really was, which is this. Like, this is reality,
Absolutely.
what we're doing right now. Not what I'm thinking about in an hour's time or 2 hours time. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like the worst things that happen to us are usually just our fears. Life's
Yes.
usually a lot less stressful than our fears think it's going to be.
Oh man.
Yeah. And I like that you're talking about like thinking about all those negative things and stuff, because like there's a difference between like ruminating about all these different things and
Yes.
using potential negative thoughts constructively. And there used to be this movement where like you should only have positive thoughts. You can only have positive thoughts.
Yes,
And that's
yes.
not generally
It's-
possible as
no,
human beings.
exactly.
We're hardwired for a certain amount of negative emotions. If like you step out in the street, if you think, okay, I might get hit by a bus,
Yeah.
that serves a useful purpose. Like, okay, stop and look.
Yes.
It's different than like, when we're just ruminating, like, okay, maybe what do they think this? Well, I should have done this, and those become not
Yes.
useful for us, and those aren't good. But we have to have a certain amount of negative thoughts in order to just be human and to process things and take safe actions.
Yeah, totally.
So
Totally.
it's okay to have some negative thoughts. And
Absolutely, and it's actually the attempt at suppressing those negative thoughts that ends up being the biggest problem in our life, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a book I read several years ago. I don't remember any specifics, but it was called The Antidote: Happiness for People Who Don't Like Positive Thinking.
Wow.
And this journalist went and interviewed all these different groups, like Stoics and Buddhists and different
Yeah,
things,
yeah.
and like people that just really allow themselves just to totally see all aspects, whether they feel it's negative or positive,
Yeah.
and to feel everything and just plan accordingly. And
That's beautiful. Yeah, Buddhist concepts have definitely served me a lot. With the concept of equanimity is a big, strong factor that has helped me in a positive way, and that is the concept that there's no positive or negative thoughts, there's just thoughts. There's no positive or negative emotions, there's just emotions. And being able to be fully accepting and embracing of all thoughts, all emotions, no matter what comes through. That's the concept of equanimity. And Jesus talked about it a lot, actually, in his own way, without using that specific word. But so did as well what they call Adiyogi or Shiva, thousands of years ago. So there's been like this beautiful chain of events through deeper traditional teachings around this concept of equanimity, which is this concept that there doesn't need to be this strong attachment to the beauty, like to the concept of beauty or the perception of beauty, because then everything else becomes hell.
right.
And now I'm creating my own hell on earth, like in doing so. So this concept is really, and the teaching is really to come to a place where this quote unquote hell on earth that I've been creating in my mind, because I'm perceiving things as bad and negative, such as like these unpleasant emotions are bad and these negative thoughts are terrible, and this strong aversion of these things creates a suffering of those things when they happen. But when I'm in equanimity, when these things arise, it's no longer am I trying to avert them, am I trying to escape them. So I'm no longer in a state of reaction, because that's really what reaction is, right? Because going into a state of trying to get away from something or trying to fight something. That's reaction.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of like where like meditation, mindfulness can come in hand, because it teaches you just
Totally.
to observe the thoughts and things and not judge them
Yes.
as negative
That's
or
just it.
positive.
Yeah.
Just to notice them, and then you can figure out what you want to do with them later on. But just to not get so much into the judgment of it all.
Absolutely,
Okay.
yeah, and that's exactly what the concept is about. Yeah, coming to a place of that equanimity, which is that place of non-judgment. Yeah, which I really love.
Nice.
So yeah, it's a very beautiful teaching, and I definitely love that. It's coming into more modern society, a little bit more, which is really beautiful. And not like, yes, Buddhism is coming around a lot, which is amazing, but even the concept of neutrality, the concept of equanimity is coming up a lot more. And like meditation, really, that's the teaching of meditation. Meditation is a state of non-doing, and non-reactiveness.
Right.
Yeah, which I love, right? State of consciousness. And compulsiveness or reaction is quite literally the opposite of consciousness. So one that can be meditation, or be in meditation, not just in terms of the practice, but in terms of the way of life. Is one that has come to a place of equanimity within themselves. Which I really find such a beautiful way of living.
Very cool. I like that.
Yeah.
Something for me to take away and think
Oh,
about
man.
even more and stuff. It's cool.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for jumping on. Is there anything that you'd like to share, or anything that you'd like to speak to?
Oh, that's a good question. No, the thing I was thinking was like it's just so important to have human time and
Yeah.
people time and like healthy touch and things like that, because
Yeah.
we can survive without it, but we can't thrive.
Yes.
Without it.
I love that.
So,
Yeah.
But yeah, well, that was it. we'll call that good. So.
Oh, well, beautiful. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
coming on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to come and join? Yeah, cool.
Give some
Well,
space
thank you
there.
so much for coming on, brother.
Thanks, Karen.
Yeah. So great to meet you.
You too.
Yeah. And yeah. Feel free to hang around, and if the space opens up, we can jump
watch
on
for a few
again. Or
minutes.
yeah. Awesome. Good on you. Have a beautiful day.